You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
Mike Ryan has come in, even though he was off today, simply because there's Lillard stuff happening, and he wants to be near a microphone when Lillard stuff is happening. Chris Cote, before we go to Mike Ryan on this, can we begin the game, please, of Let's Nitpick? Because I don't think your father, noted homer, and he's never been this excited about the Dolphins, right? It's since Marino, you haven't been this excited about the Dolphins?
Probably since Marino. Yeah, since Marino. Absolutely. In 1983, 84, going into 85, were the golden era of Dan Marino's early prime. And that's the last time that the Dolphins have showed this kind of promise and excitement.
Let's nitpick. Chris Cote, do you have anything beyond special teams, or is that all you have? Robbie Chosen did very poor job blocking in general.
Oh, look at you playing the game. That short yardage offense.
Wait, hold on. We have music for this game.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we
Wow.
do. Yeah, it's very exciting. Hold on.
Do you want to make it louder? You want to make music something that we can hear, or you just want to play an organ for yourself?
There it is.
Oh, I like it.
Let's nitpick. Special teams. Could burn us in the long run. Short yardage situations. Ingold, not the answer.
Really? You've dismissed him as not the answer. I thought
That's right.
Wait a minute. When Ingold has the ball, they don't need a fullback. They've got a fullback, at least in part, because this fullback does what fullbacks are supposed to do. They're keeping the
nitpick. Has X lost a step?
Wow. It's ridiculous when you come to think of it that the Dolphins in this offense, this supersonic, high-scoring offense, still have a fullback, a position that was relevant in the NFL in about 1962. And now you have two of the fastest running backs in the NFL in Achan, no longer a chain, Achan and Mostert.
Let's nitpick.
And instead of allowing them with that speed to maybe find the corner and get a yard, you're handing the ball to Alec Ingold. I just don't get it.
You kind of stepped on my last one. Has Xavier Howard lost a step?
Yes, but he's still damn good.
Let's nitpick.
I like this
Did
game.
the Dolphins peak too early?
Ask me after Sunday.
Let's nitpick.
I think their offense has obviously peaked too early because I don't expect them to score more than 70 this season.
All downhill from here.
You don't have them scoring 70
No,
again?
I think that's the peak, and it would have been better if they had saved that for the Super Bowl. I think.
Let's nitpick.
Yeah, my wife made a comment to that effect, a save those points kind of comment. It is funny, though, if the Dolphins score 34 points in Buffalo, I want the first question to Mike McDaniel to be, what was wrong with the offense today, Mike? You were a little off.
Let's nitpick.
Is that it, though? I think that since they've scored...
Everybody can play.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think there's anything else. Everyone can play, but I think they scored 70. They won by 50.
Will Vic Fangio come down on the field?
Wait a minute.
Let's nitpick.
Thanks.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about that is not nitpicking, Stugotz, I think something that, I don't know if it got missed Sunday. Obviously, when 70 points are scored, a lot can be talked about. But the fact that the Denver Broncos have what is arguably the best corner in the game in Patrick Surtain's son, and that his son, as part of their defensive philosophy, was on Tyreek Hill 62% of the time during the game.
Yep. He's overrated.
He's not overrated. Oh. Their best is not as good as Miami's best. He's not as good at cornerback as Tyreek Hill is at wide receiver. That's no indictment of Surtain. It means that Tyreek Hill is not coverable if Surtain cannot do it. But beyond that, though, I would tell you that Surtain covering Hill for 62% of the game and allowing 4 catches on 5 targets is kind of successful. Like I know it's not. I know it's not.
Because it wasn't 5?
I'm saying no, that he only got thrown to 5 times because Surtain was on him 62% of the game, and they only threw 5 times there. Like, what I'm saying is it's not possible to actually guard if you can't do it with the best player at the position or one of the best players at the position in the game.
You missed the game.
That's not nitpicking. That was a different.
Saying 4 or 5 is successful. He stopped him once. That's 20%.
Weird, yeah.
Let's nitpick. I was playing a
But
different
only
game.
throwing 5 times in that direction, you're saying is a successful
I feel like he
afternoon.
stopped them all the time.
So Patrick Surtain Jr. won the afternoon.
Let me do it this way,
Big game
Stugotz.
for
Let
him.
me do it this way. If I made your assignment for a day, Stugotz,
Yes.
cover Tyreek Hill 62% of the time.
They be throwing at me all day.
It probably would be more than 5 targets, but just make it any cornerback in the world or the history of the world. My guess is that there'll be more than 5 targets to Tyreek Hill in those situations.
Right. And especially this. Imagine being Jalen Waddle after that game. Boy, they really missed me, didn't they? Okay, you're missing your second best receiver. So they normally would have gone to Tyreek Hill even more, but they didn't.
$5.
You okay?
They didn't because Patrick Surtain III is that good.
You owe $20 from last week.
I do. I owe Jeremy $20.
That you stole. Stole to pay as a tip for your haircut from the piggy bank. So and now you own $5.
I do.
On top of that, last week we didn't get the chance because you wanted to criticize Messi for not playing all the time for Miami. Correct? You didn't want him to play elsewhere and take time off.
I expect at age 36 that he's not going to play every game, particularly when they're on a run of 12 games in a month, or it seems like.
Let's nitpick.
I expect him to occasionally take a day off. But if they're serious about chasing an MLS playoff spot and they're 5 points behind with 5 games to go, you need him for MLS matches. Does Argentina need him for a World Cup qualifier that they know they're going to win? Probably not. So that's the thing I question, is that he would play in a qualifier where they don't really need him instead of an MLS match where they do really need him.
I don't see where you say they don't really need him when he won a World Cup qualifier late with a free kick.
Right.
It was a 1-0 game. They literally needed him to win that game. It's a World Cup qualifier, and that's what high-level soccer is. If you bring in a player like Leo Messi, you know during the international break, he's going to go play for his country. What's screwed up is you should go at the league for actually having games during international breaks because that's kind of Mickey Mouse.
That's ridiculous. And now they're playing a U.S. Open Cup game Wednesday night. I mean,
no, they're playing a final for a trophy.
Final, right.
Listen, all Greg is saying is get your priorities in order. I mean, you're down here, you're in Miami, you got the whole city excited, playing the games. I mean, these games are more important. I'm with you. They're not qualifying games; they're regular season games.
These guys get it. All right, thank you for bringing me in.
The other thing is
I'm
this.
gonna leave now.
No, I want to talk. I want to
Greg.
talk to you about the Lillard stuff.
Okay, but this is nonsensical.
We're rolling.
Welcome to my Tuesdays, Mike.
Look, Messi has said he's done with World Cups. He probably isn't.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah?
He's literally playing in World Cup qualifiers. He said the opposite.
He said after the last World Cup, that was my last
No,
one.
but then he said after he won it, he's going to keep playing, which is why he played in a World Cup qualifier.
We'll see.
We'll see. He just won a World Cup qualifier. I am leaving.
No,
I am leaving.
Mike, I need.
This is baffling.
Mike,
He's the guy that knows soccer on the show outside of me.
Cote, therapy couch.
What?
Get out of here.
Made a great point.
Get out. No, I
Thank
need.
you.
I
we
need.
didn't. He lied. That's
I
you got
did.
it
That's
totally
a great
wrong.
point to me. I mean,
No, thank you, Stugotz.
Therapy couch.
The only thing he said that didn't make sense was that they played 12 games in a month. I mean, get out of here.
I mean, it seems like
12
it's
games,
ridiculous.
please.
I don't do
It's
the
a light
math. I mean,
month.
come on.
Cote, out of the room. Mike, how did you receive the information that is now coming out that Milwaukee is interested in Damian Lillard and that Toronto got deep into negotiations on Damian Lillard and then pulled out? I have up to the minute information on this, but I'm just curious. I imagine Heat fans have been listening to the last couple of months of everything that's happening with Lillard, and they might be confused by the general lack of movement. And so when you hear what could be perceived as scare tactics, if you're in the Heat's position, about Toronto and Milwaukee now getting in the game, trying to drive up the price, your thoughts are what?
My thoughts are, I look where the report comes from. I see it's an ESPN report. And I know that Portland is dying to get some leverage in this because it's been reported by Shams that if Damian Lillard gets traded to another team, he will. What is happening? What is happening right now? Are you putting in that disgusting Heat mouthpiece that has been out in the open for several weeks?
Well, he is the Heat mouthpiece.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I take into account where it's being reported. I know a situation that Portland's dying to get some leverage. Because Lillard's going to apparently request a trade if he's traded anywhere but Miami. So I take it as it's all BS posturing from Portland dying to get someone else in the mix so that he can re-engage and improve on their offer. But Barry Jackson has reported, and he's pretty plugged in, that the Heat did circle back with Portland, and they finally had some talks, and there are some reports out there about finding other teams to help complete the deal. But I am dying to know your latest information.
What does that mean that he's going to request a trade if he gets traded to another team? Because he's already requested a trade to the Heat, and they're kind of like, nah. So, like, if he goes to a new team that trades a bunch of assets for him, they'll probably also be like, nah, you're going to play here.
I mean, no one will actually want to acquire a SAR that's going to come in and immediately make a mess of things. And that's what the Heat are banking on. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong.
They do have the leverage because Damian Lillard is on their side working with the Miami Heat to try and get to Miami, which is what...
Now do it as Batman.
Which is what everyone wants. Why would I do it as Batman? That's not my penalty. Let's nitpick! So there hasn't been any movement on what the Heat is offering. The offer, as I have said, is the offer. They are not going to overpay for someone who is 33 years old and gets $219 million when they know the back end of that contract is going to be red. Toronto didn't want to pay Kyle Lowry, favorite son, after 35. They're going to pay this guy after 35 when the back end is red? The Heat says their offer is the best offer, and if someone can come up with something better, they can have him.
Can you take this serious, please? I really want to hear this info.
Oh, wait, no, that's a huge nugget at the end over
You're
there.
a key man, all right.
I couldn't understand.
All right, so this is how the Miami Heat should play it, which is fine.
They don't budge. Riley's
if you can
not gonna
find a
budge.
better offer,
Right.
take it.
Yeah.
Because you're putting an insane value on a player that just 2 years ago, Woj said, this is a depreciating asset. This is a small guard on a big number who's already 33 years old. So the Miami Heat's now stance is...
They're not overpaying for a bad end of the contract. That's not what they're going to do. They've already got Jimmy Butler, who's going to be onerous as a contract later in his years.
So, quick question, though. Is Pat Riley fully prepared to go into another one of these whale hunts and come up empty-handed? Because he's had a team that's gone to 2 out of the last 4 finals, and he hasn't really netted the one asset that can make the team a champion, that can clear that final hurdle. It ended up being Kyle Lowry, which was a bad move.
They obviously, like the team that got to the finals last year, it is now depleted by some people that they have lost that they believe that they can recreate because they created those people that have been lost. And they want Lillard, but at their price, not at anybody else's price.
But you're saying he's working with the team,
I mean,
right?
we're looking. The Heat need to do something.
Stugotz, like this stuff is, it's all sorts of muddied and muddled because you can't work with a team directly because it is tampering. Okay, but these behind the scenes machinations of someone's agent and all the things that have happened publicly where Damian Lillard has been willing to do damage to what is his relationship, only so much damage, though, to his relationship with the city of Portland and a fan base that he values. This is as far as Damian Lillard has been willing to go on the damage. But when Lillard is coming out and saying, I want to go to Miami, when you're talking about these amounts of money, it's not because he doesn't know that all of the pieces are in place. Like, he's not doing flippantly an interview, I want to go to Miami, as if that stuff hasn't been worked on behind the scenes, however it is that these teams get in trouble by navigating wherever it is the loopholes are. These things don't happen because an athlete just decides one day to shrug his shoulders and say something into a microphone. They're more orchestrated than that.
I think I can get behind the cause as a Heat fan. Like, okay, if someone tops the offer, they can have them. We're not going to improve the offer. But then I look at it from a treetop view and I realize it's the same thing as last year. Now, they ended up proving people wrong because they had one of the biggest upsets in NBA history in upsetting the Bucks, and they got to the finals, and we were freaking out about that offseason because they've gotten worse. They've lost Gabe Vincent. They've lost Max Strus. It's deja vu all over again. What's the improvement on this roster? The growth and development of younger players that they refuse to put into this trade? If he whiffs on Damian Lillard, when Damian Lillard has finally done the things that has been absent of all these other whale chases, it's going to be a mark against. It's going to be really disappointing because this is the window.
But add it to the list of marks, and then they'll get in on Embiid or Giannis, and they'll try to do it all over again, or they'll try and get better in January. They're already confused. The Heat are already confused that Cronin didn't make this trade a long time ago because now all the players have moved, 90% of the league. You got to wait until December to retrade them. Like I don't know how Cronin is doing his job, but if you were to do it successfully, this would have been an asset you would have moved a couple of months ago. Not now. Now everyone's locked up to where they're going, and if you want future trade pieces, you got to wait till December for some of these people to be traded.
Hey, how's your fantasy team doing? I know you love these questions during football season because fantasy football goes with your normal national obsession of football. But you know what else does? I, Mike Ryan, am here to tell you it's Miller time. That's right, Miller Lite. It's only got 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving, and it's got this smooth taste with a crisp, clean finish. You get all the taste that you crave without the calories. That beer, the one I'm talking about right now, Miller Lite, is the perfect supplement to your football season. Oh, that dependable flavor, that beautiful white can. Just 96 calories. Whether you're at the stadium playing fantasy football or watching the game at home or at a bar, Miller Lite is here to make your football season taste like Miller time. So why don't you make it Miller time all season long? Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Sometimes it's super tough to fit working out into your fall schedule. Between back to school, work obligations, family, and the return of football, fitness often falls down your priority list as a result. But your fitness shouldn't fall into that trap, especially if you're spending your hard-earned dollars on it. Enter the Peloton app. Motivation that moves you, hooks you, and works for a variety of budgets. At Peloton, your routine should never feel routine. Flip the script this fall by tapping into Peloton's endless variety of exercise options with Peloton Bike and Bike Plus. From intervals to club banger rides, your workouts can go from can't face to can't wait. Plus, Peloton's not just a class, it's a fitness entertainment mashup that'll have you whooping along at the top of your lungs and telling your friends afterwards. Plus, it really works. 90% of Peloton households that join at the start of the year are still active 12 months later. Unsure? We've got you. Try Peloton Bike or Bike Plus free for 30 days. Not for you? Return it for a full refund. Find your zone with a 30-day worry-free home trial of Peloton bikes. Visit onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Dan Le Batard.
Why are you so bad at this?
Stugotz.
I can't answer that question. It's a good one, though. I've been thinking about it a lot.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I want to ask Ron Magill in a moment about that giant alligator that was found with human remains in its mouth in Florida. But before I do that, Ron Magill, Stu guys, I believe that as a human being who is fundamentally decent, he and Greg Cote are working on a book that we will be publishing here shortly that we will expect our audience to buy with great zeal because I'm certain it will be spectacular. But Ron stands for the right things, not just in the animal kingdom, in this community as someone who loves South Florida, and as a private citizen, not as a representative of the zoo. He has been fighting for something in the shadows that has now become public and uncomfortable. Ron, I would like our audience to help you with that fight. I'd kind of like to have a mass protest with you on Black Friday, where we send our listeners out to have both a party and
Hold
a
on
protest.
second. The Dolphins are playing the Jets that day.
The Dolphins and the Jets. Billy has no time for your activism, your community work.
It's like a bye week, though.
The Dolphins are playing the Jets in an important division game. But can you explain to me what you're doing Black Friday and in general what this cause is for you? Because when you get properly indignant, people should pay attention.
Well, I've got to preface this. I'm not speaking as Ron Magill at Zoo Miami. I'm speaking Ron Magill, a private citizen, because I have been forbidden from speaking as Ron Magill from Zoo Miami. We are located on a piece of property that is home to the most critically endangered habitat in all of Florida. It's called the Pine Rockland. On that piece of property, adjacent to it, is part of our parking lot that also has some tree islands on it. But in 2006, voters voted to have a water park, a theme park built on that parking lot. And I'm going to tell you, I was one of the people who voted for it back then. Since 2006, we have learned so much about that Pine Rockland forest and the endangered species that live in that forest, and use that parking lot as a foraging area and as a corridor to get from one endangered parcel to another, that we realized it would be horrible for conservation to build that water park. So years later now, they're trying to get an extension on the lease to build this water park, and I'm totally against it. As is every conservationist you'll ever speak to. They've had all kinds of conservationists come in here and speak about it. Listen, Miami-Dade County has just fallen victim to just overdevelopment. Developer dollars are dictating what happens in this town, and I just decided that I was going to speak up against it. And realizing in doing so, it's going to create a very uncomfortable situation for me at work. I realized it was going to create maybe possibly ability of me losing my job. But at the end of the day, I haven't put over 43 years into this place to work for an attraction. I put in 43 years to work for conservation and protect wildlife. So I wrote an open letter to the commissioners. I sent it to the media. They published it, and to put it in short terms, all hell broke loose. This incredible uproar, this wave of opposition has developed, and it's really awakened the commissioners, and to the point where this was going to be a done deal, rubber stamp vote to build a thing. That commission meeting, they deferred it. They deferred it because hundreds of people showed up. Thousands of emails were sent to the commissioners, and they deferred it. And we said, okay, they think we're going to go away. We're not going to go away. And I got people together, got this young crowd, this gentleman, this kid named Luca Martinez put together some incredible videos that I collaborated with on the second one. And we came back the second time, and they deferred it again. But this time they deferred it, saying it will not be deferred again. It's going to December 12th. And when I first started this, Dan, I thought this is a done deal. That, the developers got it. Commissioners are paid for, and it's over. The lobbyists have the upper hand here. But for the first time, I've spoken to many commissioners, and I realized this is a different commission here in Miami-Dade County. They are really listening now. And I've been very pleasantly surprised by the response I've gotten by speaking to them personally. And I think there's a real chance here of making history, of saving some of the most critically endangered habitats, some of the most endangered species in the state of Florida from being subject to this development, which could lead to their doom. And I'm looking forward to making that history. I'm hoping that people will back us up. We're going to have a demonstration in front of the zoo, a parking lot there area on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and I'll be the first one in line. I'm going to be taking that day off because I'm not allowed to do anything as a zoo employee, but I think people know who I am and what I stand for. And I think there'll be a lot of other people there as well. And I really firmly believe that the commission is listening to us, and we have a chance to make history here to where we can show people that development dollars do not take priority over wildlife and the environment.
Ron, I have some great news. The TikTok girlies have gotten on this. I've seen several videos on my For You page. If Gen Z is involved, I feel really good about this. I feel really good.
Well, I thank you so much. There's an old saying that says when the people lead, the leaders will follow. And I really, again, 20 years ago, I would never have said this. I said, you know what? We would have lost because it was always just development. This commission really has shown me something that has very pleasantly surprised me. They're listening. And I think the people of Miami-Dade County may be surprised on December 12th when the votes say that they're not going to allow this thing to be built here, which will, for me, be the single greatest victory in my professional career.
But Ron, how do we save the water park? I mean, lazy river.
Water parks are fun, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You liked it on the front end. I mean, you voted for it.
You voted for it, Ron.
Yeah.
I did vote for it in the beginning until I learned the damage that can be done by it. And there's a lot of places around Miami-Dade County, down in Homestead, southern Miami-Dade, that have way better pieces of property that do not present any danger to critical habitat or to endangered species, where you are more than welcome to build it, and I will be the first one to support it. Even though I find it kind of strange why you would build a water park in Miami when we have so many beaches and pools, and I don't think there's been a water park that has survived in Miami for any length of time. So I don't know where they're getting their formula and their projections, but if you want to build it somewhere else, I'm happy to support that.
The ocean is dangerous, Ron. That's why. We need water parks. I mean, McKay told us, stay out of the ocean, Adam McKay. I mean, where else are we supposed to go? We need a water park.
Ron, Stugotz, you got a pool at your house?
You voted for it, Ron, not me.
You got a pool at your house, Stugotz?
I don't, no.
You have any friends that have pools at their homes?
No.
But you have no friends, obviously.
Right.
Okay.
There's always rapids.
Ron, what time is this protest? Because the Dolphins-Jets kickoff is at 3.
Okay, then we're going to make sure it's before then so you're home in time to see it, okay?
All right, very good. See you there.
Ron, one more question about this this cause of yours, because I think it's important. When we talk about endangered species, everybody gets behind it if it's a big animal, a lion, an elephant. Here, the key animal trying to be saved is the Florida bonneted bat. Every species is important. Tell people why, because a lot of people out there may be thinking, it's just a bat.
Greg,
what are you talking about bats for?
I know. I'm so glad you brought that up, because people are just saying that. It's just some butterflies, a bat, some bugs, a turtle. Let me explain something to you. Bats, first of all, eat almost insects every day. Every day. Insects can spread disease, can cause millions and millions of agricultural damage. If you don't have that control factor to control those insects that can cause all that damage, spread disease, if you don't help the butterflies that pollinate the plants, that provide us the food that we eat, if you don't protect the tortoises that not only disperse the seeds to create these biodiverse environments, and create the burrows where many other species use those burrows as their own homes. We are all connected. Listen, I'm no extremist, guys. I want to make this very clear, okay? If there's a roach in my house, I step on it. I kill that thing. Okay? Wow. Yes. I don't want to come off as some kind of extremist, because extremism in any form is dangerous. However, all these species, we're all connected, guys. All connected. And at the sake of sounding like a cliche, that web, every strand of the web, let me give you an analogy.
Give them.
Think of a plane flying. Each species is a different rivet in that plane, okay? You lose one species, the plane can still fly, right? You lose another rivet, all of a sudden the plane gets a little shaky.
Yep.
Who's to predict when the rivet falls and the wing breaks off and the entire plane crashes, guys? I'm just telling you, I don't want to be some alarmist, but look at what's happening with climate change, with the changes, the storms, the floods, the droughts, the fires. You have to be blind not to be realizing what's happening here. We have an obligation. Again, at the risk of sounding very cliche-ish, we have not inherited this earth from our parents, man. We're borrowing it from our children. We've got a responsibility to them.
Ron, I think Greg just wants a sexy animal to be endangered. You know what I mean? And like you, as someone who's trying to preserve all these animals, ethically, would it be bad for you to endanger a more sexy animal if at the end it helps us get what we want?
Billy, you're a treasure. You're a real treasure, Billy. You really are.
Ron, how can our listeners help you? What can they do? Who are the commissioners that they can write to so that there's even more of an inundation?
You can go online, go to miami-dade.org, miami-dade.gov, and just go to Miami-Dade County Commissioners and write them. Just say, listen, we're behind this effort to try to move this water park somewhere else. Zoo Miami is not the place for it.
Is it true squirrels can't vomit?
Is it?
I'm actually not sure, Chris. I'm not sure. I think
Stumped him.
Wow.
You stumped him. Let's roll that video, please, of the alligator and the human remains. Ron, can you please explain to the people what happened here with this alligator, how rare it is for an alligator to have human remains in its mouth, and your best theory as to what happened there that resulted in an alligator having human remains in its mouth?
What obviously happened here is an alligator swallowed human remains. Now, how those got there is whether somebody drowned and the alligator fed on that person after it drowned and died, or the alligator was the reason that person died, swimming at the wrong time, maybe walking along the shoreline. An alligator, as I said many times in this program, is not the brightest bulb in the chandelier. These animals live and survive by instinct. They do not know how to decipher between a flopping raccoon or a flopping kid or a human being or your pet or whatever. So they react to, if somebody's swimming in the water in the evening or dusk or dawn when it's not very light out, and they're reacting to the vibrations in the water. It's time to get food. They're not looking at it saying, I'm looking for humans. I want to get I'm a human killer. That's not the case. This is extremely rare. Understand there are well over 1 million alligators in the state of Florida, and more people get hurt and injured by dogs, bees, and any other animal you can point out than they do by alligators. So people have to keep this in perspective. It is something that can easily be sensationalized. Yes, it's horrible. It's gruesome. The alligator is not your, furry, cuddly type of animal. So people are easy to kind of condemn them and look at them as these monsters. In fact, they're incredible animals. I've been around alligators all my life. I've never had a problem with them. Never. These things are usually a mistaken identity. It's something that is unfortunate. It's tragic. I feel horrible for whoever that person was and their family and friends. But at the end of the day, this was not an act of malice. If we learn to properly respect animals, respect their territories and their environment, we should never be in a position to be hurt by them.
We have a squirrel update. Lucy, take it away.
No rodents can vomit at all. Squirrels, mice, rats, gophers, beavers, and all other rodents cannot throw up.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Did you know that rodents could not throw up? They're shutting down rides at Disney World because of bear sightings. We're going to play some B-roll here. You're laughing, but there is a man here who's just wrestling with a bear. The B-roll here does not have any sound, but you have told us that you have to be very careful with these things, that very often you're going to get mauled if you start frolicking with a bear. But this man clearly has no fear of this bear. What is happening in this video, and how unwise is all of this?
Well, it's not wise, but this is not a wild bear, guys. This is a setup thing for clicks and for likes, and done very, in such a way to imply, oh my God, this guy encounters this bear in the forest.
They're
this
dancing.
Bear for many years. So is everybody in that photograph and that video. This is just a stage thing for clicks, and you guys fell for it.
Thank you, Ron. We are gullible that way. We will talk to you next week, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
On October 5th, Loki is back in a brand new season.
Reunited. That's right.
The countdown is on.
I've been waiting.
Don't miss the return of Marvel's most watched Disney Plus show.
Loki. A little over the top, don't you think? I thought it was spot on.
His time is running out.
You better run!
Marvel Studios' Loki Season 2. New episodes streaming October 5th, only on Disney Plus.
Dan Le Batard.
Risk reward of going into the woods by yourself. You die, or you see some trees. I'm not going to die to go see some trees.
Stugotz.
Listen to me. You've seen one tree, you've seen them all, okay? There's no special trees out there.
That's not true.
That is absolutely not
I feel like it's true. I'm with Billy on that.
special trees.
This is nonsense.
This is the Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz.
I have fallen out of the chief demos on what it is people crave from their celebrity, from their Taylor Swift content. When Taylor Swift going to a football game somehow shakes and rattles the entirety of my football Sunday, because so many people are talking about the idea that she would be dating a tight end who is all of a sudden, Stugotz, coming for the top spot in stardom where the quarterbacks reside in that sport, because now his podcast has knocked out all the murder podcasts. All of the murder podcasts. America's obsession with murder and darkness has been knocked out by the Kelces.
It's ahead of Dateline.
It's ahead of everything. Yeah. It's the #1 podcast in America, and it's a side project with the fame that comes. I've told you before, Evidently, this is something that is true of K-pop and boy bands and phenomenons, but I in my life had never heard of a ticket so hard to get in music that the stadium is sold out and the parking lots outside of the stadium are filled with people who couldn't get in, who are singing the songs outside. Travis Kelce, I don't know that he knows exactly what he's welcomed into his life, but the front end of it is hugely profitable because I was surprised how fast these metrics got out, as if Kelce's people are trying to get them out, because they've got a very popular documentary on Amazon to go with their podcast. And these metrics that he added 300 social media followers, that his merch has
300,000.
300,000. I'm sorry. Yeah, 300,000. Excuse me. Thank you. Good correction. That he's that 400% merch increase. That he's got a top 5 jersey in the NFL. His people were very quick with the information only they have to get that out there. And now Elle Duncan is filing this. She's not the only one doing this, because a lot of people, Stugotz, are talking about, fascinated by a pop star dating a Travis Kelce who is angling to become the biggest star in the sport. Now, keep in mind,
I think he's there, Dan.
The quarterbacks are a big deal. I don't know if he's bigger than Patrick Mahomes on his own team, but maybe.
He was on Sunday.
Gronk was a certain kind of famous for winning, personality, commercial success, and excellence. But a tight end can only usually get so famous in that sport. Travis Kelce is about as good as Gronk, maybe better somehow, even though Gronk's the best I've ever seen. And here's Elle Duncan questioning everything about what it is you saw on Sunday.
It's a stunt. It's a stunt. And there was nothing more clear than it was a stunt than watching them leave the arena together. He looked nervous. He looked like he had zero game. It was the most platonic walk of all time. That's all I kept thinking when they were walking by. Platonic. He's never touched that woman. They're not dating. This is a stunt. Now, when I said he does not know that woman. He doesn't know that woman. Okay, maybe he does. Apparently he does. They're not dating. The most private pop star we've ever seen in terms of celebrities. We never find out who she's dating until she writes about them years later. And I'm supposed to believe that she's got a real thing brewing after what I saw on Sunday? Lies. No, I will die on this hill. They are not dating.
Who cares, lady? Why?
Lady,
what are you doing? What are you doing?
She's our friend.
Wait
a minute. I
don't care.
care.
Why is she so angry? Why is she so? Who cares if it's a stunt? It's fun. Taylor Swift is the biggest star in the world. He's a rock star tight end. They're doing this together, whether or not they're dating. Who cares? It's fun. This is a great use of celebrity by Taylor Swift, and she doesn't need the attention. Believe me, she's doing it because it's fun, and you know it. I mean, come on.
You thought you were out of the demo. I mean,
I've grown too old to talk about this stuff. Let's bring in somebody who's made of mummy material.
It's fun. The whole thing is fun. I don't care if they're really dating or not, and why would she?
If they're dating, great. Good luck to them. If they're not, who cares? It's a stunt. I am totally with you. I'm tired of the Kelces, by the way. I mean, I am the podcast. You have one guy on the Eagles. You have one guy on the Chiefs. I told everyone here at Meadowlark that podcast was going to be a massive success, and I was right. But I am tired of that because Jason now has this documentary. I watched it. It's great. But my wife will not shut up about the Kelces. She will not. She is obsessed with the Kelces, with Taylor, with Travis, with Jason. Oh, I hope the Eagles win the Super Bowl. What a way to go out for Jason. She's never had a football opinion in her life. Now she's an Eagles fan. I'm tired of it, Dan. They're taking over the planet.
They really are. My entire TikTok For You page is just girls like talking to their boyfriend, filming it, be like, do you know who this Travis Kelce guy is? Have you ever heard of him before? He only popped up on the map since Taylor started dating him.
Even I'm exhausted by this, and this is everything I thought I could ever want. Like,
and then you get it, and then
I can't believe the amount of theorizing that's going on, the amount of attention that's being paid to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, but it's because there are really so many fun little nuggets within this. Taylor Swift going on Sunday and taking the NFL spotlight from Usher being announced as the Super Bowl halftime show by Kim Kardashian, of all people. I mean, can we talk about that element of this, guys? Come on.
This is good for the Dolphins. This is a distraction for that team. You saw Patrick Mahomes looking up there. He had to get his wave in before the game. I'm telling you, this is all good for the Dolphins. It's a distraction.
Yeah.
I think what Elle missed in that video, she talked about how it was a platonic walk. I don't think it was so much that as a face of someone who's realized what they've gotten themselves into.
And she just met his mom.
They did, yeah.
Right.
She did meet his mom. Also,
kind of soon.
Yeah, it seems
He just met her.
He's nervous.
It's really fast. Also, the part about her being like Taylor Swift's very private with her personal life and who she dates, that's literally not true at all. I know pretty much every person Taylor Swift's dated, and I'm not a fan of hers.
Wow.
One of the observations that I have, I don't know, maybe our audience doesn't know who Kevin Federline is, but Britney Spears, when she was young, a lot of people got mad that Kevin Federline and everything he represented just not being quite sophisticated enough for
Not
her.
apples to apples. He was a backup dancer. Kelsey's an all-pro.
I'll tell you.
Thank you, Batman.
Thank you, Batman. I appreciate all your work so far this hour, including being the hype man for Ron McGill when he talked about and protected. It wasn't weird. You didn't understand that it was in defense of bats. You were doing a different show. You didn't understand what Chris was doing.
I wanted to defend water parks.
You just thought he was being a hype man. You didn't understand why he was being the hype man because Ron McGill was speaking favorably about
It
bats.
was next level. You're right. I'm sorry.
It wasn't next level. You're just a fool. But going back to Kevin Federline.
Not a key man. I'm sorry.
Kevin Federline, the reason this is apples to apples is when you see the still photos of Travis Kelce, he's just, just physically, if you took Kevin Federline and with a bicycle pump added 100 pounds of muscle to him, he would become, just in look, not in personality, because Federline was a dope, and Travis Kelce adds some substance to him and some fun and some charisma, but physically he looks like an inflated Kevin Federline. I want to go back for a second, though. I really feel that Greg Cote's lady was soaked in so much acid as to be borderline sexist. Shut up, lady.
Did I say shut up?
I don't think so.
He didn't say
lady.
shut up. No.
Yeah. Who cares, lady?
Yeah.
Who cares? The lady.
That's different than shut
Not
up.
as aggressive. Yeah.
Who cares, lady, as Elle Duncan accuses the whole relationship of being a lie, because I wouldn't go that far. But as a publicity stunt, it's a pretty great one.
It's a great one. And who cares if it's all contrived, right? Who cares if it's contrived to have more people watch Kelce's documentary?
But Taylor doesn't need this. Why would it be contrived? Taylor doesn't need more attention.
Well, Billy, you
this
said
is
that.
insane.
What is the upside for Taylor?
Well, if you start doing some digging, you start figuring out Amazon partnerships that maybe the Kelces have, that maybe Taylor Swift has.
Oh, come on. Can't anything be tragic?
Well, hold on a second. Then you start looking into, Taylor
like
Swift's concert tour is going to have a movie come out. What day does that movie come out? Oh, it's the day after the Chiefs play on Thursday Night Football on Amazon?
Weird.
I think it's a good, if it is a stunt, it's a good stunt for the NFL. It's a good stunt for Taylor, except for Travis Kelce. Because if things end, those fans they're insane. I would hate to be him. I don't think he will be fine because they're meaner than any fan base you'll find in the NFL. They're crazy.
Meaner than the Raiders?
Yeah.
He was the mark on this. He doesn't know that he was the bubble in this situation that is kind of being taken advantage of, because it seems like he's going to be the one that falls at the end of this. Taylor is not going to come down. As it is, her fans are now learning what football is and explaining it to each other on Twitter, which is incredible. Then they're claiming that he is going to assault her because he punched someone in a practice one time, and they're saying we should be worried for Taylor's safety because this is a clear assault here. Then they're bringing Taylor into the whole situation with the Chiefs, and is the Chiefs an appropriate name or not for a football team? So Taylor's going to have to solve that issue. A lot of things are going on here, Dan. Dan, did you believe that she snuck out in a popcorn machine or not?
If there's any faction of America that can actually influence the NFL for the better, though, is it not Swifties? I believe that they could poll at 7 or 8% Taylor Swift for the president, and I think that they have enough of a bully pulpit that they can influence the NFL for the better and get the NFL trending in the right direction.
But at the expense of Travis Kelce.
Exactly. They're looking into his taxes now, Dan.
I don't know if Travis Kelce knows exactly what
he's not going to survive.
Gotten himself into. I won't end his life.
The look that you saw on his face is the look of a high school quarterback who's dating the really, really, really popular theater girl who's a little too overeager, and he's starting to realize what's going on.
Let's play the video of Greg Cote being sexist.
Who cares, lady? Why?
Ladies,
what are you doing? What are you doing?
She's our friend.
Wait a minute.
I don't care.